Hello, I'm from Liberia. I'm Caroline Wonoke-Chise.
Okay, just kidding.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, good morning. So welcome everybody for this event. We will be starting in 2 minutes. So thank you for your patience. So welcome again. I'll give the floor now to Dr. Maya. She will be the moderator for the opening ceremony for this event. And Dr. Maya, she is the head of the Micropollutant Research Center at the Faculty of Civil Engineering and Built Environment, University Tun Hussein on Malaysia. So Dr. Maya, the floor is yours. Maya, I think you need to unmute yourself, please.
Is it okay now, Wissam?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Wissam. Assalamualaikum and good day to everyone, to all our distinguished guests, respective speaker, and also all the participants, to our ambassador of sustainability, today. Today is the opening session. So we are so grateful to have our distinguished speakers today. So the aim of this program is to build capacity on the sustainability for current and also the future generation. So it is my pleasure to be a moderator for this event. As Dr. Wissam mentioned earlier, I am Dr. Edmaya. Currently is the head of Micropollutant Research Center of Faculty of Civil Engineering and Built Environment on behalf of the UTHM, University Tun Hussein of Malaysia. So I would like to extend a very warm welcome on behalf of the organizing committee, especially to UTM, Impact Use Sustainability and also Institute Technology Sumatra ITERA, to our distinguished guests for the opening of the program. We really appreciate of the time taking of your busy schedules to join us today. So to begin this program, we are pleased to have our Vice Chancellor of University Tun Hussein of Malaysia, Professor Dato Technologist Dr. Wahid bin Razali, to deliver the opening remarks. Please welcome, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Maya, as a moderator for this program. And also, I would like to say thank you, Dr. Wissam, and also, of course, Professor Dr. Shahbaz Khan, and also the rest of the speakers and also the participants today. I guess that you are a group of great people willing to spend the afternoon, at least in Malaysia now, and perhaps in the morning in some parts of the world, is to discuss something very important globally. There's something to be shared about, and something that will become our commitment to the world, or to the whole, what we call community, the world. And for this, thank you very much, UTHM, Impact Use Sustainability, and also Institute of Technology of Sumatra. It's been great for you to be together and for running this program, Ambassadors of Sustainability. And I guess that I was informed that our target is to have about thousands global activities around 80 countries. And that would be a great impact for now, because I do believe that nothing could ever, be better than education. Education is the thing that would give more and produce more for the people and the whole world as a whole. I think this is something that is well understood. However, it's that the balance between what we call the quality of life and how much could we sacrifice. So perhaps, and how much that we could persevere within the variability of resources globally. For example, perhaps the greatest culprit in terms of, I would say, global warming is that somebody who lives comfortably in an air-conditioned, rooms, having good foods and everything else, despite the fact that these are the main culprits of the global warming, for example. So these are the things that I wish that this group of 1,000 activities would look and have more, friends and neighbors to tag along with us, to understand a bit more about what we can do as youth, for example. And I guess that's why that university and UTHM is very interested to be part of this, program. And I believe that UTHM is subscribing to what we call this. And in fact, I would like to emphasize here that we believe that technology must not only be dominated by the so-called rich population or rich countries. Therefore, universities like UTHM or the rest of the universities should engage themselves with what we call affordable technologies for the people that has almost a zero carbon emission. So these are the things that I guess that projects from these what we call ambassador of sustainability could be used to collaborate, to share, and what is most important is that it really gives what the real impact to the world or globally. And therefore, last but not least, I wish that every one of us, the whole of a global population participants here, I guess now we are reaching, I can read about 150, and perhaps we should be growing the numbers very soon. And this, in fact, the good impact or output, at least from the good effort of a few individuals that I mentioned earlier on. So thank you very much, and I hope that every one of us will enjoy this program. And I heard that that is printed there. E-certification will also be provided for those attending these programs. So welcome everybody on board, and be a good citizen of the world, and let's keep up, and if possible, we prolong the life of the earth. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you so much, Prof. Datuk Teknologi Dr. Wahid, for that wonderful remarks. Dr. Wisam, should we open for Q&A, or we can proceed for the next speaker for the next opening remarks?
I think Doctor, you can proceed to the next speaker.
So it is now my pleasure to invite Professor Dr. Shahbaz Khan. He's the Director of UNESCO Regional Science Bureau for Asia and also the Pacific to deliver the opening remarks. Basically, he's in Jakarta office, yeah, Professor?
Yeah, of course, in Jakarta today.
How are you?
Okay.
So the floor is yours, Prof.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maya. And we just heard some excellent views from Vice Chancellor, University Tun Hussein of Malaysia, Dr. Wahid bin Razali. So it's about sustainability, which is at the core of our existence. Can we exist forever or for the long time? That's our challenge. And as the position of COVID has really shaken all our foundations of sustainability, we need to carefully look into the concept of sustainability. So I really appreciate this wonderful meeting organized with the leadership of all of you and those colleagues who are joining from different countries. I'm sure all of us are interested to know about the concept of sustainability. Also, today's topic is about ambassadors. So ambassador normally is a diplomatic term to represent some country, for example. And in this case, I assume that the ambassadors are young people and older people like me and others who are interested to become the representatives for sustainability. To become a representative for the sustainability, we must understand what we mean by sustainability. So I see a wonderful program which is looking into social, economic, and environmental aspects. This is what we call triple bottom line. So what ambassadors need to learn with the new situation? I have a background here. We prepared for one of our meetings for the biosphere reserves. So I modified it for your meeting today. So it's about our coexistence as the people on this earth and the biosphere. So that's where there are new interesting dimensions we need to bring in. Certainly political dimension, very important. We are coming from many different backgrounds. So with all our countries where we come from, there are political dimensions of sustainability. But also very importantly, social and cultural aspects, the religious aspects of sustainability. And now with pandemics like COVID, what has been challenged to the core of sustainability Are our businesses sustainable? The way we have our jobs are sustainable. The way we work with the fossil fuel environment, is it sustainable to continue this way or not? So let's go back to the principles of sustainability. And at the heart of this right now, we have what we call sustainable development goals. The goals which have been adopted by everyone on the earth through their representative governments, through the United Nations system, what we call SDGs. There are 17 sustainable development goals, and those goals are, first of all, making sure there is a better future for the planet and for the people, and there is better economics as well. So that's where goal number one, if you look into, there should be no one who should have poverty. No one should be left as a poor person. Everyone should have food security. We must all have decent jobs. We must have water security. The environment must be sustained. And that's where the concept is what we call in sustainability, intragenerational and intergenerational sustainability, making sure there is the principle of equity and equality within our generation, so no one is left behind, irrespective of from where you come in the world. We should have respect for environment. We should have good economics. Everyone should have access to food and education. Education is sustainable development goal number 4, by the way. So those are the core principles where we need to work. I will introduce to you today what we are doing in UNESCO, which may be of interest to this network. So the network is a very welcome development, and I'm sure you can play a very big role in changing the mindsets of the people. So let's first explore some concepts. One of the concepts is sustainability science. I know you must be from different disciplines of environment in different areas of life. So what we call, there is a natural system and there is a social system. So the natural system is like the climate itself, the hydrological system, the systems of the land and the forest and the birds and the biodiversity. And of course, the social system in which we live. We have our jobs, we have our houses, we make waste as we work. And many times we are doing things which are not sustainable. So we need to understand the natural systems, how the physics works, and we need to understand the social systems, how the socio-economic works and our attitudes work. And combining the two brings the concept of sustainability science. This is a very important area of work for UNESCO, and we have been working with United Nations University, and we have set up many sustainability sites, and some of them may be close to your countries, and I will give some examples. In UNESCO, our coexistence with the biosphere is through a program, what we call Man and Biosphere program. This particular program is a very interesting program working in real areas where there are important environmental aspects, but how can we have sustainable livelihoods? By the way, there are 701 such biosphere reserve sites in 124 countries around the world. You are listening from Malaysia, this seminar, and the colleagues who are joining from other areas. In Malaysia, we have Tasik Chine as a biosphere reserve. Very beautiful area. I recommend you to visit it. Then we have the concept of World Heritage Sites, the natural heritage and the cultural heritage and the mixed heritage. For example, here in Indonesia, Borobudur is a very interesting cultural heritage site. Bali is a very interesting World Heritage Site. And in Malaysia, you have what we call Georgetown and Malacca, very, very beautiful areas. And unfortunately, all these areas are affected by COVID because we cannot visit them and we cannot travel. Also, another very important concept is what we call UNESCO Global Geoparks. By the way, for your information, World Heritage Convention and World Heritage List, there are 1,121 World Heritage Sites. And I wish we would be able to see in our lives these wonders, which are cultural and natural wonders. For example, here in Indonesia, the tropical rainforest heritage of Sumatra, the wonderful biodiversity which is there. Do you care for the biodiversity of Sumatra while you may be in a country far away? Yes, we do. because this is our common world heritage, and we have to continue to work towards preserving and taking it to our next generations. If you think about Georgetown and Malacca, it belongs to all of us because it's world heritage. So what is in Malaysia is very important for all of us. Then there is another very interesting program which is about sustainability, and I hope it can come into your discussions. This particular program is called Geoparks, UNESCO Global Geoparks. There are 147 such geoparks in the 5 continents in 40 countries, where the geological aspects are so interesting, so important, and our coexistence with the nature, and a bottom-up approach where we can bring people in the participative process, and we work all the way through to conserving for future. An example, Langkawi Global Geopark. Very, very interesting. If you have not visited Langkawi, please make a point to visit if you want to learn about sustainability. It's also one of UNESCO's sustainability sites. Let me very quickly go to some of the other sustainability challenges. We have a huge problem of water mismanagement, which is a key area for most of the countries in the world, whether in Asia or in Africa or in Europe or elsewhere. So if we have to live sustainably, this pandemic has shown us, if you want to avoid the virus, you must be cleaning your hands all the time. But also from a clever science point of view, we can detect the RNA of the virus into the sewage system. So we need to have access to water, which is a basic human right. How do we ensure the safe access to water? But at the same time, we make sure we don't pollute our rivers and we don't pollute our aquifers. So we should have intergenerational. So everyone within our generation should have access to safe drinking water, safe sanitation. But intragenerational, our rivers should be for our future generations, and we should be able to create cooperation. The another very important aspect is energy. To survive on this planet, we need a lot of energy. For us to grow our GDP, at the moment, unfortunately, the GDP is shrinking. So for us to move forward, there must be sustainable sources of energy, and we must continue to have more energy. 1.5% should be increased every year on year if the GDP has to grow. So question is, if after COVID, can we continue with the fossil fuels? Should there be more fossil fuels? Or should we go back to more the energy which can be renewable energy, like the solar energy, for example, geothermal energy, for example, the hydraulic energy, for example. So those are our challenges. How do we move forward? And in many countries, like in Indonesia, for example, if we have to continue on the growth from a middle income to higher income country, then maybe we need a lot more energy, 6 to 7%. Then from the point of view of our existence, we need a lot of food. And the way our population is growing, we need a lot more food in the near future, like by 2030, maybe we need 50% more food. To produce more food, we need more water. And to transport food, to produce the fertilizer, the whole cycle, we need a lot more energy. So we need to think in a systems way. That's very important concept in sustainability science, or in the art of living sustainably. So those are some of the concepts I wanted to highlight with you. And then I wanted to also highlight, as you are embarking on this very important aspect, as the worthy Vice Chancellor has mentioned, with 80 countries and more than 1,000 colleagues interested in it, we need to think globally, act locally, and we need to think, where should the new investment go? How can we build a future which is a greener future? How can we build back better? Let me give you one example. How much investment is needed if we have to give water as a human right to everybody? As governments are investing, as you know, I'm sure your government is also investing 0.5% to more than 20% of the GDP to be able to come back to a better future. So if we want to give everyone water security in the world, it takes 29 cents per person per day up to 2030 from now on, which is 1% of the GDP. If we can provide investment into water, which is only 1% of the GDP, the future can be a lot more better for everyone, and there can be much better environment for us. Also, we have seen in the world now, these inequalities are growing. Every 1% of the GDP which goes down results in malnutrition of zero point 0.7 million people, zero point 0.7 million children. So there are seriously stunted people. Then we come to also this conclusion that there is a digital divide. The technology is not easily shared. So I recommend to you to work together. So South-South and North-South cooperation, and what this network is doing with the leadership of Dr. Wissam, you should cooperate with each other, network with each other, share solutions with each other. And greening economy is everyone's business. And very importantly, let's not forget the UN Charter of Human Rights. To exist on this earth without the fear of being in trouble with any nation or with anyone, or to be able to cooperate with each other, to have decent jobs, to be able to be preserve and be proud of our culture, to be able to be educated, to have food security. These are all part of the basic human rights. So UN Charter of Human Rights, Sustainable Development Goals, and getting rid of these digital and the other divides and social inequalities is our challenge. And your challenge as a network is understand the sustainability, become true ambassadors of sustainability. Wherever you are, start from your home, from your brother, from your sister, from your friend, what you have learned from this webinar. How can you change the world? While the task is huge, if we change ourselves and if everyone changes, the whole world will change and we will be having a better future for everyone and leaving no one behind. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful training session.
Thank you so much, Professor Shahbaz Khan, for this very inspiring speech and also remind us about our role to maintain the sustainability. Thank you so much, Prof. So next, I would like to invite our next guest, Associate Professor Dr. Acep Furqon. He is the Director of International Office ITERA. ITERA means Institute Teknologi Sumatra, Indonesia, to deliver the opening remarks. The floor is yours, Prof.
Thank you very much. Welcome everybody for this very great meeting. Yeah, this is an international workshop or international program. And I heard it's about more than 80 countries join for this meeting. So it's very great meeting from many areas. And it's a very important meeting for us, for everybody who have interest to be great ambassador for the sustainability. As everybody know, we have a great program for SDGs from UN, and for every level SDGs, actually we can make a cooperation. We can make some activities, joint activities, and I think it's also mutual benefit, especially for South-South cooperation. It's very important because we have a big community and we have big resources and we need better management for this one. So for ITERA in Indonesia, we also would like to discuss about education. As mentioned from UN, basic human right also is for education. Everybody need education. And it's very important because it can change the world to better life in the future. So I'd like to share my slide first. Okay, okay, this one. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay, I think some problem with sharing file, but it's okay. I'd like to highlight something. As everybody know, we have a very great program for SDGs, 17 aspect for the SDGs. The number one is, of course, no poverty, zero hunger, and every level for this aspect, we can make cooperation actually. We have same interest for this one. And for university and campus especially, there are some metric to make something or indicator to make prolong or sustainability our campus. Yeah, the first one, energy and climate change. Yeah. This one very important. Everybody need energy, and actually we have some potential one for the energy, especially in renewable energy. So now it's become massive program for this one. I think everybody can contribute and can join for this program and together to make better this one. And also it's open to a big or consortium for this one, for energy and climate change. And waste, yeah, but waste management is also very important for the sustainability. If we cannot manage this waste, I think we have a big problem for the future. So it is need a very serious management for this one. And water, of course, water, to make water treatment, there are plenty of research we can do for this one. And also we can join together for international program. It's very great chance and a great opportunity. As you can imagine, 80 countries here, and they have some big program together, something like that, and for become massive program, and contribute for each countries, especially for South-South cooperation like this one. Transportation, yeah, in some places it's a big problem for the transportation, and also it's become very serious problem for pollution. Now we have some initiative for transportation and pollution. I think Dr. Wesan will introduce for this one, for this initiative. We will welcome all of you to join as well for this initiative for better result, because pollution is transboundary. We cannot only allocate in one area, because it's transboundary. It's become our problem. And then education and research. I think many members here, they are very young, yeah, to involve for this education and research. I think all of you have a great spirit to contribute for this one. And then so many activity in strategy. Yeah. After we identify this problem, or of course we can make some strategy and leveling. And the good one, is every country, they have our own problem or specific problem and very unique problem. So we can help each other to make a good contribution or contribute to each countries based on this consortium or this ambassador. If everybody have great spirit for this one, I think we can make a big impact for each country based on this consortium, something like that. So I think for basic human right, education is very important, because it can change our landscape in the future for the better life and better future. Of course, we need technology and innovation based on the research. So that's why I think we can make a good contribution based on this collaboration. 80 countries, and I register actually more than 1,000 people here, but some people cannot join yet for this one. But I think for 10 hours training, 5 days, I think we can make more discussion about this. And I think so many great idea from all of you, and we can make good moving to better future. I think that's all from Indonesian side, and I think all of us welcome of you, all of you. If you have time, please come to our countries and some make activities. I think we can make a great collaboration for this one. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Dr. Acep from Indonesia, for the very wonderful remarks, especially on education, renewable energy, and also the transportation, and also the opportunity that maybe we can collaborate together. Yeah. So after the program, hopefully that we can work in hand together so that we can achieve the target or aim of this program. So thank you so much again. So I would like to continue this program for the next guest. He is Mr. Nyembo SJ. He is the CEO or founder at Impact Youth Sustainability. Please welcome Mr. Nyembo to deliver your opening remarks. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for your warmly welcome. I'm really inspired by every one of you because it's a great program that gathers a lot of people around the world. Thanks so much, and I'm very happy to meet all of you there. My name is Jay. I'm from the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's a country in Central Africa. I'm founder CEO of Impact to Sustainability. It is a global organization engaged in a mission to combat or mitigate climate change all over the world. We have various projects in several countries. More than 80 countries have already implemented various projects working to mitigate climate change. And I'm very honored to meet you as the global agent for change in this meet. And you are ready to join us in order to build a better world through climate change mitigation, because sustainability is one of the most important issues that we need to implement in the world to build a better community. Thanks so much for being there. I'm really honored, and I'd like to welcome you to this international program as a CEO of this organization. This program is called Ambassador of Sustainability, and I'm very happy. I really am grateful for Dr. Weizam, who has initiated this program. Because it is through his leadership influence that we got to reach a lot of countries, a lot of people, and I'm very happy for that. I know exactly how every one of you are about climate change, about topics on sustainability, because it's a that keeps affecting the world, and it's critical for all of us to get together. So that we can implement some best strategies through which climate change can be mitigated. And on behalf of sustainability, I would like to thank you for taking this first step to creating a better and a more sustainable future for the next generation, because you have the potential to turn this world, to change everything to our commitment. As I said, Ambassadors of Sustainability is an 8 hours international program, and it will cover various topics on sustainability. So it is really, really important, and we will inspire every one of you to take some project with every one of you to launch different campaigns, to take any project on sustainability. So hanging in their place, you learn and discuss during this program. We also hope to get the most from yourself after this program, because you will also implement, you will also practice everything that is going to be said by our speakers today. I'm very happy, and enjoy your time with us, enjoy your learning. I'll see you as we are already together in this initiative. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Nyembo J, right, for your welcoming remarks. So we are very grateful. We have so many beautiful guests for their very inspiring speech for our opening. So I return back to Dr. Wissam. Should we open for the Q&A or something, Dr. Wissam?
Yes, Dr. Maya. I think, yeah, if there is any, maybe they have any question for the speakers, of maybe for Dato or Prof. Shahbaz. So is there any question from the participants?
You can also write your question in the chat room if you want.
Yeah, if you have any question, you might write in the chat box as well. So how can we come up with ideas of sustainability? This is question for certain speaker, or? I think there is no questions. So we can conclude the session, the opening session here.
All right. Okay, thank you so much for everyone for very interesting opening remarks. So dear all, I thank you so much for your active participation in the opening of the program. So our program will be held until 14 August for you to become ambassador of the sustainability, to lead our work with full of responsibility and also livable.
Dr. Wissam, there are
Yes,
some which are certainly very interesting. Sorry to interrupt, Maya.
Yes, sir.
Because with so many interesting colleagues, if they ask a question or if they are shy, we should give. So sorry to interrupt you, Maya. There are some very, I think, important questions. One of them is from Muhammad Shermanto. How youth can involve themselves more intensively into SDGs? That's a very important question, you know. SDG is not for old or for the people like me in UN or the people who are working in the SDGs are for everyone. How youth can be involved? You must know where we are, where is the baseline. Do you read reports about the SDGs? What is the progress in your country? These are our basic rights. We need to link with the political systems. We must become aware people that where these SDGs are. All of you need a job or not. And if some of you are left behind, I wouldn't like to be left behind on my food security, on my water security, on my job security. So how you can become part of it? First of all, learn what these SDGs are. SDGs are not only at the national level, they go right up to the local government level. Ask these questions to your local government. What is the status of our water resources? For example, you can be somebody let's say in Indonesia, in a small kampung, do you have access to water? Do you have a decent work environment? Can you get education? Is everyone being given the fair chance? Can you be educated same like in someone in Jakarta? So you must know some of those challenges. And youth is recognized as a force by the United Nations system. I invite you that your group should become, and some asked me before, how can UNESCO support you? How the UN can support you? To get the support and to become a force and to become a body where everyone comes to you, you must, first of all, come up with your understanding and some agenda and organize these areas, focus on the SDGs, follow up with webinars, which can be follow-up webinars every 2-3 months, bring your work streams, which I don't know, I'm sure you will have. So this is some of my feedback. How can you become part of the projects? That's also a very important question. So to become part of the projects, I would strongly recommend you look closer to your universities, look closer to wherever the UN and other NGOs, international NGOs, UN is, by the way, intergovernmental, it's the interest of all the governments. Don't be shy. Don't be shy in asking questions. You become real sustainability ambassadors. And for that, I would say put some position papers. This is our position. I didn't give you an introduction. I have started a network here, and maybe some of the colleagues from the network are there. It's called You Inspire. And this You Inspire is for youth and young professionals for science, engineering, technology, and innovation. I motivated them. There should be their own national chapters. They should become the first port of call for disasters related work. So I recommend that you consider carefully the key strengths. I see today a congratulation letter for Dr. Wessam. So it seems like you have an organizational structure. So please look into also how can you actually accredit somebody as a body that you are a sustainability expert. What should be the attributes of a sustainability expert? You will get a certificate. Many of you are teachers, professors, researchers. If we say we have to see Dr. Wessam is a sustainability expert, I'm just putting him on the spot because he's my friend. So what should we know? Like I know he's an engineer to become a sustainability expert. What would be the other things engineers should know? Normally engineering is about mathematics and physics and all those things. So I would say, dear colleagues, look, now see, so many questions have started coming. The purpose of a meeting like this one is not for top down, someone like me giving you a lecture or bhashan, but you should now start coming with the ideas, record these ideas. So certainly there are many more about youth, young professionals, climate change. And also I see some colleagues, they're saying, please link with me on the Facebook. Please do link with them. Use LinkedIn very carefully. Have groups on the LinkedIn. They are not about just social chatting. These are about professional development. And don't feel like you are alone in this world. This COVID has done many bad things, but one good thing is you do not need to be a top expert. With your mobile phone, you can be on Zoom wherever you want to be and be connected. Let your voice be heard. Don't be shy. Raise questions. Many ideas in short spell. So, but I really want you to ask those questions and also link with the World Heritage site. Somebody saying about World Heritage. Do you know what is your heritage? Do you know who are the indigenous people in your country? As in Malaysia, there is Orang Asli. So what are their values? How can we cherish our past and be ready for our future? How do we link with each other? How do we respect humanity and respect the environment? And the difficult time certainly is coming with much lesser money being available. There would be difficult economic times. How can you support each other and come up with those networks where everyone is learning together? Thank you. Hopefully I've answered some of them.
There's one question, Prof, regarding the how can we do campaign for SDG in our society where literacy rate is very low?
Okay, that's a very important question. There's so many people who are illiterate. SDGs are not for them. SDGs are for them. They need water. They need food. They also need a job. So how can we involve and engage with those people? We must come up with easy messages. Let's get rid of our jargon. So how can we bring those messages for a common person like a farmer? That for a farmer, most important thing is there water? How can he produce more food? How can he become more profitable? So there must be better understanding of the knowledge, first of all. And to mobilize that, I think your network, if it has to become a powerhouse, a force, you start translating some of these ideas into simple to understand. Also think about small projects, like a project for the local farmers. I'm originally, by the way, from Pakistan. Some of you may recognize as with my name, Khan. I'm also Australian, so I have the best of both worlds. I belong to a farming family. I would like to explain these concepts to my mother, who has never been to a school, and she's a very, very smart person. So bring these ideas to where they should come. Become passionate about your work and believe in yourself that you can change the world, and step by step, but certainly. Is there any other question, dear Dr. Maya?
Another one, what pillar of sustainability should be more close to youth? Keep in mind that youth are young professionals studying and working.
First of all, as young people, and not far back in time, or maybe far back in time, I was young too. When I was a young person, my fear was my seniors would not give me a chance. They don't take me seriously. And if you are very young, but you are bright and full of ideas, people are afraid of you. So somehow we need to get over these barriers, that young people must be recognized for their excellence. They must be given the due respect. Like I used to become frustrated that being a young engineer, civil engineer, by the way, my seniors were not willing to listen to me. They were not willing to give me promotion. They will use my work, but not give me the due credit. There's similar stigmas with the gender as well. The women being not given the right kind of promotion and the right kind of responsibility. Think about transgender. Those are also the people who are not given the right kind of environment in which they work. So that's where I would say, first of all, believe in yourself. Never step back. Don't be afraid of the challenges. Educate yourself. Work harder. But very importantly, continue to have a demand for a better future, which should have dignity for everyone, which should have food security, which should have equal opportunity for jobs. There should be no stigmas. There should be rule of law. There should be no corruption. And there must be international cooperation. And on the international cooperation, I already give you 10 out of 10 marks. You are reaching out. Don't feel like you are alone. So I would say these are very, very important messages. That's why, sorry, I felt like I must excite you. That's why I'm here. I left my other meeting because of you.
We are so grateful, Prof.
Okay.
I think there's a one question from Uganda regarding to the planting more trees. Here. How best can people in rural area in Uganda that have so far started growing trees be motivated to plant more so as to indirectly contribute to the 17 SDGs?
This is a very important area. If you want, I can answer, but I do not want to monopolize. There are many other more intelligent people than me. Planting tree is a critical activity. But we must be careful also where we plant trees. I worked many years ago as a scientist in Australia in the area of water and sustainability. If you plant trees at the wrong place with the wrong type of trees, we can affect our water catchments in a very bad way. So planting trees is wonderful, but a tree in a wrong location can change the water balance in a wrong way. We have a concept in UNESCO. I encourage you water people to study it. It's called eco-hydrology. Putrajaya lakes in close to Kuala Lumpur, the capital, is an example of eco-hydrology. We can use plants to purify water. We can use plants to change the microclimate. So understand your local agroclimate and plant very wisely. In many parts of the world, including in Indonesia, in Pakistan, in other parts of the world, we have been not very careful for our future. We have got rid of our upper catchments vegetation. All the trees are gone. What happens when you get rid of the vegetation? The water comes too fast. The floods are too many. There is no more rain happening that place. So we have to carefully look into those areas where we do what we do. We must use the smart knowledge.
Yeah. And another questions about, do you have any program or project that we can join or engage?
The program, first of all, is LinkedIn. Join me on the LinkedIn. You and me become together, understand each other, understand what we're doing. So there are programs for youth. Youth is our priority in the United Nations system and in UNESCO. So I encourage you to look into our websites. I told you about You Inspire. There are chapters of You Inspire in many countries. For example, in Nepal, if there is anyone from Nepal, there is a You Inspire for SETI in Nepal. There is a chapter in Indonesia, very strong one. Also in Pakistan, there is a chapter about You Inspire. But I'm not saying use that brand. I would say continue as ambassadors of sustainability. Come up with programs and projects which can change things in a positive way, understand unsustainability to become sustainable, and propose those projects to UN, including UNESCO. Propose those projects also to businesses, become partners with businesses. I think there can be many such projects which can come, but again, don't be disheartened. Our biggest resource on this planet is ourselves. You change from yourself, and you start doing little things. Start looking into how do you plant trees, how do you take care of biodiversity, how do you respect elders, how do you make sure that people who have been left behind too long, we take care of them. So there can be many projects, and there can be funding too. There are UNESCO offices, more than 50 around the world. Most welcome to link with them. Also link with your universities, and continue your good work as a network, and help each other, support each other. That's one of the biggest projects we have. We have so many social stigmas, we have so many stresses. Support each other. That would be my number one project. Support, link with each other, give confidence to each other. What Dr. Maya, you are doing today, and what Wissam is doing, this is the work for us to link with each other and hold each other's hand virtually. You are not alone. We can do it. The world will be better, inshallah, one step at a time.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Dr. Maya,
Yes.
maybe Dato have some concluding remarks.
Please, Dato.
So, because my computer is a bit, a few feet away. So I thank you very much, everybody. And I was impressed with Professor Sabas. Looks that he's very committed person, and perhaps that he would be able to guide us along, or at least put us on the track that we should be. But what I expect is that to be very practical and to do things that is possible and have got some impact, immediate impact on our community. So perhaps on behalf of UTHM, as a technological universities, I would like to, pursue this matter along, and would like to encourage all my scientists or technologists to, at least to join hands, making sure that, we are moving forward in terms of protecting our way of life, quality of life, and also without compromising, of course, our basic, rights, and also whatever things that would be in contradiction with the 17th initiative of the SDGs. So thank you very much, everybody, and hope that you will join again, I think tomorrow and after, and to have a full overview of what ambassador means, commitment, perhaps practices, and of course, before that is understanding of the whole philosophy and concept. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Prof. Any other, Dr. Wissam, from the other guest speakers for concluding remarks?
No, I think should be okay. So we can conclude the opening here.
Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. So after this, we will have our first talk by Dr. Wissam. But before that, I would like to congratulate to Dr. Wissam because he's being appointed as the president of Impact Youth Sustainability Organization. Congratulations. So very inspiring.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You of that because of your very committed works that you have done. And you want to start now or you want to break?
Yeah, maybe just break 2 minutes, then we can resume.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dato. Thank you so much, Prof. Shabazz.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful
Thank
week.
you. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. J. Okay, so again, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon and good morning for those who are other regions. So I will, I'll give you just a brief introduction on the program and maybe just have a short presentation. Yeah, I know that you are all interested and you are passionate about acting as ambassadors of sustainability, promote sustainability, and try your efforts to be a change maker for the betterment of your communities and the global community as well. So my presentation will be just I'll show you a few figures just to make you kind of more confident on the importance of sustainability. And, because now we are talking about this hard time of the COVID-19. Can you see the presentation now? Dr. Achib, can you see the presentation?
Sure, good.
Okay. So now talking about the current scenario of COVID-19 and, the debate and the arguments on the origin of the COVID-19. But, there is a lot of evidence that this is linked somehow or other to these environmental challenges globally, and mainly talking about the biodiversity loss, which might be one of the reasons. So currently we have several environmental challenges globally, talking about climate change, which is one of the core issues tackled by the impact sustainability. And when we talk about climate change, we have several elements, whether we are talking about developed countries and the main contributors in terms of the carbon emissions, or we are talking about the vulnerable countries who suffer more because of the climatic change, which might affect the water resources, the food security, and other weather parameters which influence the daily life of people. And definitely we're talking about air and water pollution, which is in some areas, it is a bit serious. And I will show you some figures on specifically on air pollution and the impacts. Definitely we are talking about water crisis and conflicts. And we are witnessing one of those crises in Africa currently. And now we are talking about natural resources drain, deforestation impact, and the soil degradation as well. So here you can see some graphs which shows the utilization of the resources and the growing number of populations, right? You see, like on the graph here on the right, let me just okay. So you can see here the population growth, right? And you have here the GDP, right? Same time, talking about the resource extraction. So all these trends growing, right? While when talking about the material intensity is degrading, right? So this is one sign of the the depletion of the resources, which is mostly because of unsustainable consumption. So this is giving us some signs in terms of numbers about the depletion of the resources. And definitely when we talk about resources, it is linked to the different types of environmental pollution, which causing some harmful impacts to the world community. In this table, you can see the risk, different types of risks, right? And the percentage of death from first one is the indoor smoke from solid fuels, unsafe water, urban outdoor pollution, global climate change, and lead exposure. So you can realize here the average, the worldwide average, and here the low and middle income average, and the high income average for each of these risks. So you can realize that for all of these risks, the average in the low and middle income, it is higher than the higher income countries. And this is giving one sign on when we talk about the sustainability. So one of the aspects, one of the main pillars when we talk about the social aspects, we are talking about justice, right? So basically, you can assume here that most of the resources being used in the higher income countries, but most of the suffering are in the low and middle income countries. And we are talking about those great risks that lead to millions of people suffering and dying because of those risks. So, back to the current scenario, we are talking now about, this is quite the latest number, more than 19 million positive cases of COVID. We're talking about more than 700,000 people died, and these are the recovered. We are talking about 12 million. I'm showing you here the number just to have a sense and of comparison of numbers when we talk about the COVID-19. And here you can see in this graph, these are the disasters from 1900 to 2018, and this is the natural disasters. And we have the global death from these disasters. So you can realize that this is the peak here, right, which is 3.7 million people died in 1930, and this is because of natural resources, including droughts, flooding, extreme weather, extreme temperature, landslide, dry mass movements, wildlife, volcanic activities, and earthquakes, right? So this is from 1900 up to 2018. While this is the report from WHO last year about the air pollution, which is called the silent killer. We are talking now about 7 million people dying every year because of air pollution. And these 7 million, 2 million in Southeast Asia, 2 million in Western Pacific region, 1 million in Africa, 500,000 in the Eastern Mediterranean, 500,000 in Europe, and 300,000 in the region of the Americas. And these are the reasons or the cause of death causes from air pollution, but it influences and it causes strokes, heart disease, and lung cancers. So you just remember when I just showed the graph about the whole natural disasters from 1900 to 2018, the peak was 3.5 million. While here now, currently, we are talking about 7 million people dying every year because of air pollution. So, you know, these 7 million, again, this is a split of the disease. So 21% due to pneumonia, 20% due to strokes, the 34% due to heart disease, ischemic heart disease, 19% due to the obstructive pulmonary disease, and 7% due to lung cancers, right? These are the 7 million who are dying. This is one more serious number, and it is a huge number. We are talking about a 3.8 million people dying prematurely every year from household air pollution. And this is from cooking. The household air pollution is mostly created by using kerosene, solid fuels such as wood with polluting stoves and open fires. And we are talking about women and children are the most at risk of those groups. So 18% dying because of strokes, 27% due to heart disease, 20% due to the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, 8% due to lung cancer, and 27% due to pneumonia. And this is again in the indoor environment. And you can see from this graph that in India, 43% of the population are exposed for this type of pollution, right? Which is almost 700 million people. In China, 30% of the population, which is more than 400 million people exposed to the household air pollution. In Nigeria, 71% of the population. In Bangladesh, 81%. In Pakistan, 59% of the population. In Ethiopia, 96% of the population. In Congo, 97% of the population. And in Indonesia, 28%, Philippines, 57%, Tanzania, 96%, Myanmar, 81%. So it's very serious, and this is exposing millions of people, if not billions of people, to a very serious type of pollution, which is causing, as we mentioned earlier, 3.8 million premature deaths annually. This is kind of interesting map, and this is for India, just for as an example. So you see here in this map, this is the death per 100,000 in India due to air pollution, right? If you compare the three maps, right? So the first one, we are talking about the proportion of population using solid fuels, right? And you see the color code here with the percent of the population. In the second map, in the middle, this is the population weighted PM2.5 concentration. This is the particulate matters, the air pollutants, which is caused by using the solid fuels by the population. So here is the source, here is the pollutants, and here is the outcome. If you look and you compare those dark colors, you can see the more tense, the more people are using the solid fuels, the higher is the pollutants, and the higher is the death rate by those pollutants, which is again being emphasized by the reports from WHO, right? And this is concrete evidence about the impacts of air pollution on the health. So, you know, here back to the impacts of the environmental pollution of the disasters, talking about the fatalities, the victims. This is again disasters impacts from 2000 to 2012. We're talking about 1.2 million people killed. We're talking about the loss this is the 2.9 billion affected, the population, and a loss of 1.7 trillion damage, right? Let's see, this is very interesting. The cost of environmental degradation, and this is globally, as a percent of the GDP, right? So just imagine here in Ghana, 9.6% of the GDP is lost because of the environmental degradation, right? Tajikistan, 9.5. China, 9% of the GDP. In Nigeria, 7.7. Iran, 7.4. The lowest here is Tunisia, 2.1. Nepal, 3.5. Syria, 3.5. Algeria, 3.8. Bangladesh, 4% of the GDP. In a while, I will show you another figure, which shows when we talk about percent, what is 9% of the GDP of China? How much is that meaning by, dollar and cent? So maybe just here, like in Egypt, we're talking about 4.8% of the GDP is lost because of the environmental degradation. So this is another interesting number. Here, according to the WHO report, says that the global air pollution related healthcare costs are projected to increase from $21 billion in 2015 to $176 billion in 2060. This is only the healthcare cost because of air pollution globally, right? So by 2060, the annual number of lost working days, which affect the labor productivity, are projected to reach 3.7 billion. Currently, we are talking about 1.2 billion working days at the global level. Just imagine, we are talking about 3.7 billion working days lost and will be lost annually. This is because of air pollution in 2060. The market impacts of outdoor air pollution, which include impacts on labor productivity, health expenditure, agriculture crop yields, are projected to lead a global economic cost, which gradually increase to 1% of the global GDP by 2060. When we have pollution, specifically here, the air pollution, if people getting sick, they won't be able to go to work, so we lose the productivity. They have to go to hospital, they have to pay for the medical treatment. If it is government treatment, government hospitals, they have insurance, then the government will bear the cost. If it is private, then the citizens will bear the cost. When we have air pollution in the atmosphere, it affects the crops, it reduces the productivity, and this is considered to be a loss to the national economy. This is a very recent number. So this is a study, so it shows that the forecast suggests that the pandemic, the COVID-19, will affect the cost of global economy up to 8%, right? This is due to the COVID-19. Let me just, okay. So we are talking about 8% cost to the GDP in 2020, while we are talking about 15% of global GDP annually. In the normal scenario, we are losing 15% of the GDP, and this is premature death and loss of productivity potential among the population because of poor health, which cost twice as the COVID-19. So this is happening every year, right? Without COVID-19, we are losing 15% of poor health. And this is definitely because of the environmental pollution that we are facing and we've been exposed to. So when we have a better health promotion and a better health, that will promote economic growth, right? Because fewer people are likely to die prematurely, and so the working age population will increase. When we have a better health, people will produce more. And when people are healthier, absence from sickness decline, workers are less distracted by managing their own conditions or their loved ones. Also, fewer workers retire early because of health condition. So we seize the economic impacts of a better health. If we have a better health, that will contribute and add $12 trillion to the global GDP by 2040. So just imagine, because of poor health, we are talking about a loss of 15% of the global GDP. And the GDP currently, the global GDP, we are talking about $87 trillion, right? You just imagine how much is that when we talk about 15%. While if we have a better health, we are talking about an extra of $12 trillion to the global GDP. So it's not only, we're not talking about sustainability because we want to protect environment only. It will also promote and increase the economic growth and increase the GDP as well, will reduce the loss of the national economy. So in the past century, health improvements from vaccine, antibiotics, sanitation, and nutrition, among others, have been a powerful catalyst for economic growth by expanding the labor force, increasing productivity, and delivering immense social benefits. So this study examined what it would take to improve the health of global population in the next 2 decades and what the benefits would be for the individual, society, and economy. So this is also a recent study which shows the improvement of the health system, right? Estimated potential reduction in poor health. So we're talking about 41%. Additional healthy days per person, it will be 21 per person. So this is related to the productivity of the individuals. The GDP impact into 2040, we're talking about 11.58 billion. And this will boost the GDP by 8%. And the economic benefits for every dollar invested, it will be 2.7. So this is the positive impact of improving the health system and how it reflects on the community, the global community. So this is again a comparison, and this is the economic burden of air pollution, and this is from 2018. So it affects China. The loss because of only air pollution is 6.6%. In India, 5.4%. In Japan, 2.5%. Spain, 1.7%, and the lowest in Brazil, 0.8% loss of the national economy, the GDP, because of air pollution. While if you look at the consequence of COVID-19, as it's expected, right? So for example, talking about here like India. So in 2019, the GDP growth was 5.3, while in 2020, it's expected to drop to 3.6. While for India, the loss annually is 5.4% of the GDP. So here you will see some figures. So this is the cash and lives, the global cost of air pollution, right? And this is again from 2018. So China is losing $900 billion a year and 1.8 million lives being lost because of air pollution. India losing 150 billion a year and 1 million people dying. Bangladesh, 96,000 people dying. South Korea, losing 56 billion and 40,000 people dying because of air pollution. Russia, they are losing $68 billion and 120,000 people dying. This is only because of air pollution. So I think now you got an idea about, you know, the numbers. We talked first about the COVID-19, the victims, right, and the economic impacts. Then you see the impacts because of the environmental pollution, which is being imposed and people being exposed annually, and the numbers is quite terrific in terms of the impacts, the environmental impacts, and the human and health impacts. This is one more figures on the health cost of climate change and air pollution, right? So here we're talking about 3.5 trillion annually. This is in the OECD countries, China and India. And this is the impacts of air pollution on the childhood. In California, we are talking about 254 million every year. And this is here, the cost of air pollution, health impacts of road transport. This is only from traffic emissions. We are talking about 3.5 million people killed yearly globally by the outdoor air pollution. This is due to the traffic emission. 50% of the deaths from outdoor air pollution in the OECD countries, and that cost $1.6 trillion. Right? So, you know, after seeing those numbers, so the impacts on the human as being the people being victims, right? They are dying because of environmental pollution. And also the countries, the national economies, they are losing billions of dollars because of the environmental pollution and because of poor health, right? So in that case, because we have always, when we talk about the sustainability concepts, we have the debate between the environmental aspects and the business aspect, the economy aspect. We need to, in terms of at the country level, we need to develop the economies, right? And sometimes we, you know, it depends. People who are concerned about the environment will be biased toward the environment. Talking about business, policymakers might be more biased to the economic development, right? But finally, everybody is losing, right? Because logically, if you talk about the relationships, so when business progress, right, most of the profits will go to the business sector. They might be taxes to the government, right? They might create jobs, right? But definitely when we talk about loss of, for example, in the case of India, 150 billion, or in the case of China, 900 billion USD. This is basically the loss for the country, for the government. This is paid by the budget of the government, which is also paid by the taxpayers. So the balance is needed there because everybody is losing. If we talk on the holistic approach, everybody is losing. So we have to find a balance between the economic development needs, because we need to provide people with their needs, right? At the same time, we don't have to neglect, or we have to take care of the environment, because when we have a poor environment, then we will have pollution. Pollution will have health impacts, and that will affect our health. People might die or get sick, will be losing their productivity. The national economy will be losing as well. So this is the balance that is needed in terms of the economy and environmental relationship. Taking into consideration the third pillar of the sustainability, which is the social justice, right? Talking about different forms, whether we are talking about the environmental resources, where the people have the right to have clean water, clean air, right? To have their own rights in the environment that they are living in, right? And also they have the right to get their needs and their, you know, talking about jobs, talking about the socio-economic conditions in the country. So that is, and also, you know, dealing with different backgrounds in the community, in the country, globally, talking about the like I just now, when I show the table, which shows the disparities between the low and middle income countries and the high income countries, and the risks that people are being exposed to, and the suffers that is being created due to those types of pollution. So the balance is needed. And a lot of discussion about the improvement during the COVID-19, that there is a lot of enhancement because many countries, similar or most of the countries, being locked down, people staying at home, working from home. There is no traffic emissions, there is no transport, there is no industry emissions, right? So that helps to reduce the emissions. And one of the evidence, this is a graph from India, comparison between the same duration for 5 years, and you can see that in 2020 there is a clear drop in the emissions, and this is for in New Delhi, right? This is from 23rd March to 13 April, right? If you compare the same duration, this is just to give evidence. And we've seen a lot of positive change environmentally, but that is not sustainable, right? Because we can't lock the countries for a long time. We can't stop the industry. We can't stop the movements of people. And now we are seeing a lot of countries releasing the lockdown, back to work. So now the trend is going up again. I read about some crazy suggestions previously that we might have to lock down countries for a while during a certain time in the year. But that, again, it's not really sustainable, because when you lock down the country, you close the industry, there are losses for the population, for the industries, right? So that won't solve the problem, because it will cause suffer somewhere else. But the way forward, it should be more on, improving our practices to make things more sustainable, right? And balancing all the economic aspects, right? Talking about wealth creation, property, employment, balancing it with the environmental aspects, the natural resources use, the environmental protection, and balancing it with the social aspects, which can include the cultural identity, social inclusion, civil rights, right? We talk about the social environmental relationship. We are talking about environmental justice, natural resources stewardship. Talking about environmental economic relationship, we are talking about the energy efficiency, incentives for use of natural resources. So again, we have to balance all these relationships so that we can have more sustainable, more healthy environment, so that we can have a better future for the current generation and for the future generation, as the sustainable development implies. Might be some of you will say this is quite difficult, but the sustainability is the responsibility of everybody. Talking about the government, talking about the NGOs, academic institutions, talking about individuals, right? So the government need to help the economic sector, the business people, right? And the economic and the business sector need to abide to the regulations and control the emissions, right? Because they can't be too greedy, focusing on profits and neglecting the people, right? So how the government can help the business sector, right? I'm always asking, when the business sector want to implement a strategies or environmental pollution mechanisms, why these investments that being spent on the environmental protection can't be considered as a CSR project, right? Because to me, this is the best CSR project that can be done, because it's protecting the community, right? And this is type of help from the government to the business sector. One more thing, and those approaches might be implemented in some countries. So the government might give incentives for those industries that apply to the rules and reducing the emission to the acceptable standards. In some countries, some also approach use that if an industry wants to implement environmental pollution strategy, they can get loans with a very low interest to help them to implement those strategies. So after the government helps and provide all these assistance, if some of the business sectors or industries still insist to pollute the environment, then we will have to enforce the regulations. We should have a solid and concrete regulations, policies, and also some, fines, so that we can control and we can limit the emissions from those industries, right? Talking about, some of the pollutants, some of the pollutions, it does not really link to the technology. It is because of the behavior of people. And one of those aspects, which is quite dangerous and quite serious, the open burning, the burning of the agriculture waste or the municipal waste, right? Some people do it for fun. Like they have extra waste in their house, they just burn it. So they convert the solid waste issue to air pollution issue, which is more serious, right? Because it will spread on a larger scale and that will influence more population, right? And this has nothing to do with the government, nothing to do with business, nothing to do with the technology. It's something to do with our behavior. And that can be one of the aspects that our initiative can work on, which is more on the education and awareness, right? Because those practices by the individuals, by some communities, it creates harm for the people themselves, right? And we know definitely when we burn the waste, especially if we got some plastic items that might create toxins, which is carcinogenic. In this region, we have a complicated issue, and I think it is also common in Thailand, and also there are some issues in Ukraine, which is forest fires that develop into haze, and it's regional haze, and in some cases that can cause troubles to the whole region. And in the region here, we are talking about Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei. This is quite serious and causing a lot of health impacts and economy impacts. I just read a report last few weeks that in one of the events of the haze events in 2013, Malaysia lost 1.5 billion ringgit, right, due to the impacts of the haze. And in many cases, they have to close the schools, right? And it affects the tourism. It reduces the productivity of the crops. So this is because of the practice of people. It's nothing to do with technology, nothing to do with industry. This is coming because this is produced by the actions of people. And this might be, it have some influence from the business, because these actions being done by the companies who want to clear the lands for agriculture. But with the right approach, if we promote the technologies to convert the waste to wealth, the waste to energy, so why to burn that waste and cause environmental pollution? We can utilize that waste to produce energy. So that waste will have a commercial value, right? And will be generating revenues for those farmers. So again, that will include more promotion, more environmental awareness, and also bringing some industries that can utilize this waste to produce energy and benefit the community, because some of those areas, even they don't have electricity. So you can utilize that waste to produce energy for the local communities. So maybe here just I want to conclude that we are talking about the way forward. Our life and practice should be more sustainable so that we can live more healthy and more productive life, right? And we've seen some of those benefits when we talk about the current COVID-19 that we manage during the lockdown. The pollution level decreased, and we've seen a lot of enhancement improvement. And one of the statistics says that in China, because of the lower level of air pollution, it saved the life of 4,000 kids in China during these 3 months of the lockdown, right? So we can do that with a collective efforts from everybody. And this platform is a drive for that initiative so that we can work together to try to promote those values, especially on education, awareness, and later on to develop the network and work with the industries, with academic institutions, and with the governments as well, so that we can influence positively. Just a very quick comments. Well, now we are listening and we hear about a lot of new terminology, talking about smart cities, sustainable cities, resilient cities, right? So all these concepts, when we talk about the city to be more sustainable, right, means we have to consider all the sustainability concepts in the city, from the city planning up to the operational phase of the city, talking about the material being used, the practices, the planning of the city, and also implementing the projects during the construction, where we have to investigate all the environmental impacts during the construction, which is a part of the environmental impact assessment. And we have to propose mitigation measures so that we reduce the impacts on the environment during the construction and also during the operation phase. You know, again, in many countries, we are talking about two main sectors of emissions. When we talk about if we focus on air pollution, which one of the main source of pollution, as you've seen in the reports of the WHO. So we're talking about the industry, we're talking about the traffic emissions. So definitely we talk about traffic emissions, if we are talking about planning a new city, there should be a need to develop a smart system, a sustainable transport system, to make it affordable, convenient, and accessible for the population, so that we can reduce the emission that can be created by using the private cars, right? And this is challenging. I gave you an example in India, and if you talk about the mega cities, talking about Cairo, you're talking about many cities in China, and also in other parts of the world, Jakarta as well. When we talk about the resilient cities, right, or smart cities. So talking about smart cities means that we have to utilize all the smart apps, smart technologies for the city to be more resilient, more inclusive, more safe, right? To be more relevant to the more human, to be more human for the population, right? It is not about utilizing the technology to get rid of the people or to reduce the number of employees. Because again, we have to look at the socio-economic of the social impacts of our approaches. If they deploy technology, we reduce the number of employers, then the unemployment rate will get higher. If the unemployment rate gets higher, means that we will have social tension. The social cohesion will be less. We might have higher crime rate, right? So we have to balance all these approaches. So technology have to be used for the betterment of the community, to improve the life of people, to make it more secure, to make the country more inclusive and more safe. So I think I will stop here. And if you have any question, I will be happy to answer. Let me just check if we have.
Chat box, Wissam.
Yes. So maybe Dr. Mai want to help me to, if you can.
All right. I think I saw several questions. Okay, one from Aruna Kamara. What can you say about positive of the environment during the lockdown? Can you think of any innovative ideas of working at home in order to reduce transportation costs and pollution in the near future?
Yeah, I think I mentioned about a lot of improvements during the lockdown, but and working from home, I think there is a lot of global companies even decided to continue working from home forever. Like I think Twitter asked the employees that they can work from home, and to me, I believe that, and I read some studies as well, that working from home also even increasing the productivity. So that can be practiced, but again, that need the authorities of the organization to decide and allow the employees to work from home. And definitely when we talking about working from home, will reduce the traffic movements, traffic emissions, noise, and also the safety will increase because it will reduce the accidents as well.
Yes. I think the rest, they are asking for the slides, Dr. Wissam. If you can share.
We will share the slides. We will share the slides.
Okay, I think.
I think some of the participants, they raised their hands. I'm not sure whether they can ask using the audio.
Yes.
Dr. Achib, are you there?
Yeah.
Achib, yeah.
So is it possible for the participant to ask if they have any?
By voice? Okay. Okay,
because some of them, they raised their hands. Okay. I don't know if.
Maybe my staff will open the voice. Yeah. So
yeah, but please, for those who will ask, just try to make it quick and.
Yeah, you can make a dialogue.
Concise, yes.
Yeah, dialogue or discussion here. And it's also recorded, so everybody can find this material on YouTube.
Yes, yes. I think someone asking about this, the awareness. Hamza is asking about we can work on the awareness sustainability. You know, I mentioned about the awareness, and this is crucial, and that's why I see the importance of working with the universities and schools, because that will be a good platform for us to influence people, especially if it is at the school level. That will have a more impactful because you can shape you know, the way people looking towards the environment and how they can improve their like behaviors. Because I mentioned about some practice like burning wastes, and even when talking about the transport, right? If there is a good and affordable and accessible transport, right? So we have to educate people that they need to utilize the sustainable transport so that we can reduce the emission. And some of the, again, the awareness can be regarding the consumption, the sustainable consumption of people, because a lot of the troubles is because of the human consumption and the unsustainable practices, right?
Dr. Wissam, there's one question here from Dr. Mohsin Kamal, Pakistan. How sustainability can be achieved for marginalized communities, for example, LGBT? So
yeah, I think I mentioned about the social aspect of sustainability. We are talking about the social justice, So whatever is the case, we're talking about different communities, different backgrounds, different religions, different races. So the community should be inclusive. The country should be inclusive, right? That might be challenging in some countries due to some sensitivities, like, here Dr. Mohsen is talking about the LGBT. Maybe that will be kind of a sensitive issue in some countries because we're talking about the relationships between social aspects and the religion dimensions. But definitely talking about sustainability, we are talking about an inclusive community, whether we are talking about like those all these differences in the communities.
Dr. Wesam, so everybody can ask by voice. You can open mic.
Okay.
So if someone can talk directly by voice, please, yeah. Bu Maya, maybe you can guide them.
Yes.
So somebody is asking, how can we move away from policy to action when it comes to sustainable living? Can we have a step-by-step process? You know, that's why we talk about collaboration, because policy is needed, right? And action is needed, because you can't regulate the life of people, whether we are talking about in the general aspects or we're talking about the environmental aspects. So the regulation and policy needed, but the enforcement is more important, because we might have a good policy and regulations, but it's not implemented. Then the pollution will be there. But again, we need the collaboration of everybody, the community, the government agencies, the business sectors, the NGOs, academic institution. All these people can play a role together, and that will strengthen the system, right? Because, you know, even talking about the cleanness of the city, right? If we start education with education, right? So you don't have to impose fines on people because they are self-disciplined and they will keep the cleanness of the city, right? But when we have a policy, we have regulation, and we have some fines, so those who violate the law will be fined, right? So that also varies from one city to another, or from one country to another, depending on the education system and the regulation system and the enforcement system, right? But definitely, we are talking about an integrated system, a comprehensive system that is needed. And definitely, we talk about a collaborative approach that is needed to maintain a sustainable living for the whole community.
Yeah.
Bu Maya, maybe 5% raise hand, and they can unmute the mic so they can, make dialogue with Dr. Wesam.
Dialogue. I didn't know how to do it. Maybe
Okay.
Prof can help me.
Okay, 8 participant raise hand. Jay, bisa dibantu? Ini yang siapa aja?
I think someone is asking also, what is your take on environmental management system incorporation and environmental compliance culture in the industrial sector? Yeah, I mentioned in the presentation about the environmental impact assessment, which is part of the environmental management system. That, and this is certainly in many countries, they have a policy, they have regulations and requirements for those projects or different types, or talking about the industry or construction. So the first step is we have to assess the projects and their impacts on the environment. And because we are talking about an early stage of the project, so we're talking about prediction of the impacts. And after we predict the impacts, we need to propose mitigation measures, and that will help to reduce the impacts, whether at the early stage, the construction stage, and the operation stage. So this is very crucial, because if you neglect the impacts, we neglect the assessing the impacts, right? Later on, it will be very difficult to cure, to treat the damage that was created for the environment. And that might be costly, lengthy, and complicated. So it's best to be considered at the very early stage of the project planning. So somebody is,
okay.
Sorry?
Bumaya, maybe you can see the raise hand on the bottom, yeah. and you can see some people here. For example, priest, egg person here, Habte, Tahir,
Okay.
and so
Yes.
on. Yeah.
Hello to everyone. Tahir Yusuf from Pakistan. My question is from Sir Wasim, that how poor countries will get the goals of goals, sustainable goals, because they are facing developing economies and etc. How can they will get? Is there any support from UNOs for these programs?
Okay, so whether we are talking about like the developed countries or less developed countries, I shown in the presentation that even if you talk about economic aspect, environmental aspect, health aspects, social aspects, so the sustainability will save all, because if you have unsustainable practices, that will cause damage and that will cause loss to the whole community, to the whole country, right? So it does not mean if we want to implement sustainability, it will cost us a lot of money. It will save, and you just seen in the figures that if we have a better health system, that will add $12 trillion to the global GDP in 2040. So we are not losing if we applying the sustainability concept. No, we will get more money. The community will be more healthy, right? So it is all about a winning approach, but sometimes it is seen as sustainability will slow and delay the development, because it is seen from the business perspective only. But if we look the holistic approach at the country level, talking like I shown some figures, talking about India, when they are losing 150 billion a year because of air pollution and 1 million people dying. So just imagine how much is the loss for the country. And I guess whatever it is spent to control the pollutants, at least it will save the life of people and will increase the productivity. That will reflect positively on the economy. So implementing sustainability, it won't be a loss. It will increase the profitability, increase the productivity, and will improve the living of the people.
Okay, sir, I have a question.
Yep.
May I?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
First of all, thank you, sir. I am Aditya from India. I agree with your disposition that we need both policy and action. My question is a follow-up to the previous point that you made. How can we bring different stakeholders together? We have government organizations which are working, we have NGOs which are working, and India at large is a very big country. So how do we ensure that we can make a common minimum program and ensure that we are moving from policy to action, from stagnation to progress?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so this is very simple, and I give you my experience previously. So for the universities, for example, why we have to do always our research based on the gap that we are searching in the literature? Why we don't search the gap in the community? What are the challenges in the community? And based on that, we decide our research topics. So we will do our research, we will find out solutions for the community, and we will help the authorities, right, to solve those challenges. So then it's kind of capitalizing on the resources, the available resources. And by that, we can create an impact. And it does not really cost a lot because, for the universities, they need to do the research. The problems are there for the community, right? And for the government, it will save also money because you are helping them, you are giving them ready-made solutions that need to be implemented. So that will make things easier for all the partners. And definitely all these agencies, all these stakeholders, we have positive, and it is bringing fruitful results for everybody.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a really productive answer. Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome.
Bu Maya,
Yeah.
maybe you can write some others question So many
Some
questions
others.
actually.
But I saw that there are lots of this one from the group chat.
Okay.
About this, do you want to focus on the someone who raised hand, or just I can
Yeah.
read from the group?
I think someone raised hand. For example, the next is Munib. Mr. Munib, you want to ask something?
Yes, thank you very much. Greetings to everybody. I am Munibur Rahman from Pakistan. I am a social development expert working in cooperative sector. My question is that how can we integrate circular economy concepts with our SME goals? How can we integrate circular economy concept within our sustainability goals?
Yeah, definitely when talking about circular economy, it is one of the most interesting ideas, and it will be kind of motivating ideas when we create value for the waste, right? And I mentioned about converting waste to energy, and some mechanisms they convert waste to oil as well, right? And that definitely will help, because when people see a value, economic value on the waste, then it will be easier to control and also to implement strategies that will save the environment. Because one of the biggest challenge globally is the generation of waste, not only in handling the waste, even disposing the waste, and the need for land requirements, the cost to handle the waste and dispose it, and the long-term impacts. If we cannot dispose the waste in a sanitary landfill, it might pollute the soil and groundwater. So definitely the circular economy will help and will help to, just give an example, and this is common in many countries. So when they start introducing the recycling of plastic, steel, so even now hardly you can find plastic in even if the country is not clean, you can't find some plastic items or steel in the roads, right? You might have some rubbish, but you won't see plastic, because they know this plastic people will collect and sell it to the some of the those companies who deal with recycling. So yeah, definitely this is one of the aspects that when people knows about the values of, or they can create a value, they can, even we have like now the scavengers who are going even to the landfills to collect some items and sell them, and that also give them an opportunity for revenues. How it integrated in the SDGs, definitely it's all about talking about the circular economy, reducing the waste, and it is protecting the environment. So it's very related to all aspects of the sustainable development goals.
I think maybe we can stop now. Dr. Wissam. How about you?
I just have one question, if it's possible.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you very much. I'm Shoaib Gilani from Pakistan, and I'm an environmental engineer. My major is green building technology, and I've been working in the industry for almost 6 months now. And one thing that I've realized over this time is that there has been, as far as the environmental protection agencies are concerned, there are definitely loopholes in the environmental policies and laws. And obviously, on the other hand, even the industries are not cooperating as much as they should. So the one question that I have in mind right now is that what should be done from the relevant agencies protecting the environment? And don't you think there should be more positive reinforcement from the protection agencies? And in the current perspective, I believe that there should be a general consensus globally, and whatever policies we should be implementing should be done globally. Right now, you see there are different standards from every country, and whenever you develop policies, what I have seen is that countries overshadow, or sometimes they don't give that importance to environmental policies considering their economic goals. And I don't think that should be the way forward. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, definitely when talking about the environmental agencies or the authorities in each country, I mentioned that we need stronger enforcement of the environmental regulations and policies.
Exactly.
And a global one, I think it will be difficult because each country, they have their own local challenges, right? Unless like we are talking about a global challenge like climate change. So we have a lot of treaties tackling the climate change, but local challenges, I think the countries need to deal with that. Definitely there is some kind of, bias toward business and the economic sector, especially in the developing countries, because like they feel if they want to put pressure on the business, that will delay and slow the economic development.
Yes.
But if looking at the numbers, I think we might have some profits on one hand, but we are losing billions at the other hand. And unfortunately, those who are getting the profits from the business sector, but those who are losing, it's the government, the people, and the country. So definitely the enforcement need to be done. But again, I said that the approach should be kind of collaborative. Each stakeholder will need to help the others so that to make things easier to protect the environment and balance it with the economic development needs, so that we can meet the people needs and maintain the social justice in each locality and each community.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I think we can stop the program now. Yeah, Dr. Wissam?
Yes, I think, we
So-
can conclude for today. We can conclude here, and we'll resume back tomorrow, same time for the next session. And the next session will be on environmental sustainability. That will be conducted by Dr. Maya and Dr. Aslina tomorrow. So
Yes.
thank you so much for joining today, and we hope to see you again tomorrow.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. And thank you so much,
Thank
Dr. Achib, for the arrangements.
Thank you so
And,
much.
Yeah, thank you. And keep contact all participant. I think it's a very great participant, and maybe more actively dialogue here. And yeah,
Yes.
during another time also we still can keep make a dialogue.
Yes,
I think so many great question. I really surprised. So and it's have many potential solution for our global collaboration.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you so much.
The attendance are already in the link, right? The Achib?
Yeah.
Attendance. So please don't forget to fill up your attendance for today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
Hello?
Hi on.